The media are still having some trouble adjusting to Donald Trump as the next president. We certainly saw this in the freak out over his phone call with the president of Taiwan and all of the implications, and everyone acted like he didn't know anything about foreign policy when in fact the Washington Post reports the call had been planned for weeks with his aides. But it's particularly true of liberal journalists, liberal commentators, liberal pundits who did not expect Donald Trump to win this election and can't stand the guy, not to put too fine a point on it. But I'm starting to see some effort, some evolution in trying to cope with the new reality, which is going to be obviously the reality here in Washington for the next 4 years. Particularly, there was a piece in the New Republic which talked about the dangers of outrage porn against Donald Trump. Now, there's a catchy phrase. And the idea of this piece is that the writer has no use for Trump, thinks he's a danger to America and all of that, but says we as liberals, he says, cannot get completely and totally bonkers over every single little thing that Trump does. Otherwise, we're shouting into an echo chamber. So, for example, if Trump gets into a Twitter spat against Alec Baldwin for his unfunny and sad portrayal on Saturday Night Live, fine, that doesn't have to be a big story. The left doesn't have to go crazy over it. The argument here in the New Republic is that there should be more focus and more outrage and more opposition toward the president-elect on substantive policy issues. But ironically, in the last couple of weeks, a lot of the coverage has revolved around some serious stuff. For example, the deal that Trump made with Carrier Air Conditioning in Indiana saved about 1,000 jobs. Now, you can argue that these jobs were saved through government tax breaks and government contracts, and that perhaps it's not a good way to do business generally with any company that is threatening to move factories to Mexico or any other country. Even Sarah Palin criticized it. Fine. But that's the kind of debate we're now having. Same thing with the phone call with Taiwan. I mean, as Trump moves from the status of somebody who's just interviewing a bunch of potential cabinet members at Trump Tower, somebody who's actually sitting in the White House, there'll still be all the distractions, and he'll tweet things that will be sort of like candy for the media. But a lot of the debate and the coverage is going to necessarily get more substantive as he deals with important issues. Another piece in the Huffington Post, which when Ariana ran the thing, had this editor's note, Donald Trump is racist, sexist, xenophobic, and a really bad guy, says the reason that Hillary Clinton lost, and again, this writer blamed Trump for all kinds of things, but the reason Hillary Clinton lost was, in this writer's opinion, she wrote off the white working class. Now, I don't know if I completely say wrote off, but it is a fact that Hillary Clinton didn't campaign in Wisconsin, campaigned in Michigan with a couple of days left. She thought she had those blue wall states locked up, but also, I talked a lot during the campaign about what her overarching message was, other than Donald Trump is crazy and dangerous and I'm not him. And I had a hard time figuring it out. I mean, she had policy positions on everything. For me to say she didn't have an economic message, I'm sure her people would give you 25 data points. But she didn't have a message that she could boil down that would speak to people who work in factories, who work with their hands, the blue-collar folks who have not had a good time in this economy, even though unemployment is down, who are worried about the future. I think that Hillary Clinton was so focused, and I think the Huffington Post now recognizes, so focused on all these different groups, blacks, Latinos, women, younger voters, people who cared about climate change, people who cared about lots of other specific domestic policy issues, that she didn't connect with or have any great sense of reaching out to what we kind of lump together under this working class label. And Donald Trump did, and given the fact that the election essentially turned in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, which no pundits thought Hillary Clinton was going to lose, that explains why Donald Trump is the next president. So I think maybe it's a healthy sign that some of these media types on the left are coming out of denial and trying to grapple with the new reality. They don't like Donald Trump any better, but they're starting to understand that he's going to be in charge, that there's a reason Hillary Clinton lost this election, and maybe as time goes on, they will have to deal in the real world if you go through, the 12 stages of denial.